I'm not on the mission field. How does this apply to me? And I think it does. It does apply to them, even though they're in a Western context. Why is this important for them to understand in the context that they're in?
Well, I'll just share a little bit, and Bud has some statistics on this. The president of Asbury Seminary, Tim Tennant, is fond of saying that North America is the fastest growing mission field. So just think that out for a second. Not the largest by any stretch, but it's the fastest growing due to secularization, immigration, urbanization, etc. So what that means is wherever whether it's at school, at the supermarket, at your work, you're more likely to engage someone of a different religious system, a different cultural background than in the past. Therefore, we actually wrote this book not simply for missionaries that go far away, but also to help people think as missionaries wherever they work and wherever they play, wherever they go to school, etc. The more you start looking for it, the more you will find there are people different than you that God is already speaking to. And if you catch up on that conversation by listening well enough, you can help them enter into the fullness of Christ. Oftentimes what happens, Travis, is Christians get a bit freaked out. If somebody's a Muslim or a Hindu or a Buddhist or whatever, they say, well, they already got a faith, I'll stay away from them. And we're saying, no, catch up on that conversation. Hear what's happening. And the gospel is not dynamite to blow up their culture, but the gospel is really leaven in the dough to transform it. So we're trying to give people hope to find entry points. Like, where do you start the conversation? Because oftentimes people don't know where to start it. We're saying, instead of trying to like blow up somebody's Muslim religious system, look for fear power. It's most likely there. For a Buddhist or Hindu, look for honor shame type of areas. And therefore allow the gospel to speak to the worldview assumptions in order to transform it. And our job is not to denigrate their faith, but allow the gospel to speak to their worldview assumptions so that they'll find that Christ will transform that. That's what we're hoping to accomplish.
Yeah, and I would just add into that, one of the things he brought out is secularization. We tend to think secularization, the end of it is just to deny God and all that, but that's not what happens. It's pluralism and indifference. That's the end of secularization. And hand in hand with that is, especially when we look at our society today, 1 out of every 8 people is born in a foreign country. 1 out of 3 people have someone who is foreign born living in their household. Okay, so that's usually a parent or grandparent or someone like that. So think of that. 1 out of 3,
Wow.
you're going to go to the store today, whatever store you're going to go downtown, you're going to see 1 out of 3 people have an immediate relative who's been born in a foreign country. Much higher in urban areas like Chicago, New York. Yeah. It's up to 50% in some major urban areas like Miami. Those numbers are huge. So these people are coming from all kinds of worldviews, all kinds of different perspectives. And this book was written primarily for an American audience, because the way that we think about the gospel has been very monolithic. There is a gospel presentation, and we just need to realize a lot of the things we're talking about today. We need to be empathetic. We need to be listeners. We need to see and explore how the Holy Spirit is at work in people's lives, and we need to join in that work and in the conversation that's going on. And so those types of things, the world has shifted, and so the church needs to catch up on that conversation, I think, and make the conversation relevant to what's going on in people's lives.